So you guys have been around for a long time. It's not like you're a brand new band or anything. I think you started in Toronto about '99, and roughly, and then
started in New York, actually.
New York.
We were Toronto kids, and we'd all moved to New York. Jimmy and Emily from Metric, and me and Chris were all living in an apartment in New York, and so that's where it really started. But then when it actually began as a band was when Evan and Amy joined us, and that's when we moved to Montreal. But we were all Toronto kids and knew each other from the neighborhood in Toronto and stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to know why you moved to Montreal, because a lot of people were doing that, and I wanted to know why you specifically wanted to come here. Did you think there was like a major music scene or something like that happening?
Oh no, we started the major music scene.
Oh, you started it? That was you guys, okay.
No, there was just the rent was incredibly cheap, so you could live as an artist.
Yeah.
You know, I would have to go to Toronto and work at this coffee shop, like kind of 5 days a month, and it would make me enough money to come back to Montreal and make music with the band. And Evan really wanted to move here. He wanted to get out of Toronto, and New York was just kind of a bit massive. And you know, Toronto's a pretty small town to grow up in. It's a big city, but not as big as New York. And Montreal is, as they say, not too big, not too small, just the size of Montreal.
Did you find other musicians here as well?
Well, that was another big factor. Is I think what had happened was maybe one of the first shows we ever played was with the Deers, and Murray was a mutual friend of a friend, and we just thought they were an incredible band. We still think they're an incredible band.
Then they became very good friends very quickly.
Yeah, they really are the guys who in my opinion, like Sammy Roberts and the Deers, they're and Godspeed are responsible for a lot of the big fundamental things that make this a great place to play music. So
excuse my ignorance, are you still living here though?
Yes. Everyone is except me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone is except
me. Yes, we live on the plateau, right by Laurier Park.
I know one of your earlier albums recorded, I think, out of town, at a farmhouse or someplace. Or
most of the time we'll leave the city to start writing, because it's just good to get us all in one room together and not have the distractions of the big town kind of pulling us out to the bars. So we just bring the bar to the house.
Just bring the booze into the house.
And then we kind of stay put, and it's usually -30 outside, so there's, you know, some fun where we put on big snowsuits and roll around, but mostly we stay inside and write music. And that's really been for every record, starting with Set Yourself on Fire. We didn't have the money to do that with Heart. We wrote it actually right on Mount Royal Street at 939 Mount Royal, which is an apartment that Chris Seligman had, and his computer was in there, and it was so cold and we had no money, but so my vocal booth was a massive duvet that I would put myself in, and I would call it the Song Sausage.
One of the first labels you were on, Arts and Crafts, which is an amazing label. I mean, there's quality there. You open one of their packages, you don't know who the band is, but it's going to be good. The packaging is always good, the promotion is always good. But you were one of the first to be on the label for a while.
Yeah, well, that label was founded by a buddy of ours, Kevin Drew, who's in the Broken Social Scene, and Jeffrey Remedios, and that was something they got on really early. They both had a vision for having a place where they could put their friends' records out and where they could make a living in the business. I think Jeffrey saw pretty early on that things were changing very, very quickly, and not for the better in terms of earning a living in this business. And he really came up with a new model to keep things sustainable, you know, and yeah, we were lucky to be a part of that for sure.
You've done some American television, and I wanted to know if being on one of those late night shows, like the next day your record sales go up like 900%.
No,
because if you were an American Idol, it would.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I don't know a single person who's ever seen a huge bump off one of those things. Like,
really?
Yeah, I think it helps. It helps you get like festival offers. It helps you get other offers. Within the industry, it means a lot. But I think, you know, generally speaking, like, I don't know if that's particularly how music gets into people's lives, is through a little segment on a talk show. As fun as it is, you might see something you really liked, but for me, that's still the power of radio, you know, is that you can be in your car and you can be just switching around on the dial, like playing roulette with it, basically. And then suddenly a song will start, and you'll love it, and you'll have to know what it is, you know. And that, to me, is a more effective thing. Like, getting on Show'em, in a way, does more for our records than any TV show could do, because people came here to listen to music. Do you know what I'm saying? Instead of going there to watch Alec Baldwin or whatever it was, you know. So it's I don't know if those formats really work that much.
Although Alex now got a radio show too.
He's a pretty entertaining guy.
Yes, he's great. You mentioned the Bell Center. I'm sure you've played festivals with hundreds of thousands of people in front of you. I'm not sure how many, but
the spirit of rock. 97.7.